Hello all, welcome to Paritranaya. In today's class, we shall discuss about Prime Minister. So, what is the role of Prime Minister? What are the responsibilities of Prime Minister? How is Prime Minister appointed? So, we shall discuss in detail about Prime Minister. So, in the previous class, we have discussed about President. Today, we will be discussing about Prime Minister. So, here we need to understand that there are two executives. One is nominal executive, another one is real executive. So what do we understand by nominal executive? Nominal executive means for namesake, means the real power does not lie with him. So the real power does not lie with president. So president is nominal head of the executive. Then who is the real head of the executive? The real head of the executive is Prime Minister. So we have already seen what is executive, union executive. So the real head of the executive is Prime Minister and the nominal head of the executive is President. So we use alternative words as well, or alternative terms as well. So in order to refer to nominal, we call it as de jure. So President is de jure, means nominal head of the executive. Prime Minister is de facto, it means real head of the executive. The real power lies with the Prime Minister. Next, we shall discuss about the appointment process of Prime Minister. So already in the previous few classes, we have discussed in brief about the appointment process of Prime Minister. Now again, we shall discuss in detail. So as per the Article 75 of the Constitution, so whether do we need to memorize these articles, all the articles? No, all the articles we need not memorize. So from UPSC exam point of view, we need to focus only on important articles. And which are those important articles? As and when we encounter those articles, I will let you know that which articles are important and which are not important. So accordingly, you can memorize. So here article number 75 is important. Okay, it is important. Why? Because it speaks about the appointment of Prime Minister. So article number 75 says that Prime Minister of India is appointed by President of India. Prime Minister of India is appointed by President of India. Then whether President has the freedom to appoint any person as Prime Minister? No, President does not have that freedom. So then whom can President appoint as Prime Minister? So he should follow the conventions of parliamentary system of government. So there are different types of government: parliamentary system of government and presidential form of government. But here in India, we have parliamentary form of government. So according to the parliamentary form of government, President has to appoint leader of the majority party. Where? In Lok Sabha. So President does not have the freedom to appoint any person of his choice as Prime Minister, but rather he has to appoint the leader of the majority party in Lok Sabha. Then what do we understand by leader of majority party in Lok Sabha? So let us take an example. We have already seen. So in Lok Sabha, we have how many members? 545 members. Okay. So in these 545 members, let us assume BJP, there are 300 members of Lok Sabha who belong to BJP. Just in order to make our discussion easier, I will be taking two parties initially, BJP and Indian National Congress. And let us assume Congress has 245 seats, okay, seats of Lok Sabha. Similarly, let us take Rajya Sabha. So Rajya Sabha, we have totally 245 seats in Rajya Sabha. So let us assume an imaginary situation wherein BJP has 100 seats. And next, Indian National Congress has 145 seats in Rajya Sabha. Okay, Rajya Sabha. So if you look here, what is the majority required in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha? In Lok Sabha, when we say majority, we'll be speaking about value 273. Why 273? Because when 545 is divided by 2, we get 272.5. So when you convert it to whole number, then it becomes 273. So it means in Lok Sabha, majority strength required is 273. It means among the 545 members, whichever party has minimum of 273 members, that party will be called majority party. That party will be called majority party. So in this example, which party is majority now? BJP is in majority. Why BJP is in majority? Because it has 300 seats and this 300 is greater than 273, which is required. So BJP is the majority party. Now next, Indian National Congress, it has just 245 seats, so which is less than 273. So among BJP and Indian National Congress, BJP is in majority in Lok Sabha. Similarly in Rajya Sabha, what is the majority required? The majority required here is 123. Why 123? Because 245 divided by 2, 122.5. So when you convert it into whole number, it becomes 123. So in order to call a party as majority party, it has to secure more than 123 seats. So Indian National Congress has 143 seats, so which is greater than 123, whereas BJP, it has 100 seats, which is less than 123. So in Rajya Sabha, which party is in majority? So it's very obvious. In Rajya Sabha, Indian National Congress is in majority. In Lok Sabha, BJP is in majority. In Rajya Sabha, Indian National Congress is in majority. Now coming back to the point. So whom can President appoint as Prime Minister? Leader of majority party in Lok Sabha. In Lok Sabha. It means the majority party is BJP. So its leader has to be appointed as Prime Minister. Its leader has to be appointed as Prime Minister. We cannot appoint leader of the majority party in Rajya Sabha. Okay, in Rajya Sabha, Indian National Congress is in majority, but we cannot appoint the leader of the majority party in Rajya Sabha. We should only appoint the leader of the majority party in Lok Sabha. Okay, Lok Sabha. So how will President come to know that who is the leader? Who is the leader? So these 300 people, they will make one person as their leader. Among these 300 people, so one person will be chosen as a leader by all these 300 people. So they will support that particular person as Prime Minister. So when these 300 people, they choose their leader. So presently, the leader of BJP party is, leader of the majority party is Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji. So now, when the leader of majority party is fixed, so that person will be appointed as Prime Minister by President. So now Modi ji was appointed as Prime Minister by President because Modi ji was chosen as leader of the BJP party, okay, majority party. Now next, this is one case. So there are few cases wherein President has the discretion. Discretion means President can appoint a Prime Minister of his choice. Okay. So when will that situation arise? When no party has a clear majority in Lok Sabha. When no party has a clear majority in Lok Sabha, then President can exercise discretion. It means President can appoint a person of his choice as Prime Minister. So let us discuss with the help of an example. Now, Rajya Sabha is out of our ambit. So we shall remove Rajya Sabha because when it comes to forming of government, so Rajya Sabha plays no role. Rajya Sabha plays no role. Okay, no role. So now what we shall do? We shall change these values as well because we want to create a different scenario. So what we should create now? Okay. Let us assume BJP has got 250 seats. 256. Indian National Congress has got 260 seats. Let us assume we have one more party, JDS. In reality, there are many parties, but in order to make our discussions easier, I'll stick to only 3 parties. So BJP has got 250, Indian National Congress has got 260, and the remaining are 35. Okay. So 35 seats are from JDS. Okay, JDS. Now in this scenario, who will form the government? Which is a majority party? Which party should choose its leader? Which should choose its leader who can be appointed as Prime Minister? So if you look at BJP, it is 250. Whether 250 is more than 273? No. 260 is more than 73? No. 35 is greater than 273? No. It means none of the party can be considered as majority party. None of the parties can be considered as majority parties. So now in such a scenario, President can exercise his discretion. What is the discretion? He can appoint any person either from the BJP or from the Indian National Congress or from the JDS as Prime Minister of India. As Prime Minister of India. So once he appoints, after appointing, he will give 1 month of time. Okay, 1 month of time. Within 1 month time, the appointed Prime Minister has to prove his majority. So let us assume a person from Indian National Congress has been appointed as Prime Minister. Okay, a person from Indian National Congress has been appointed as Prime Minister by President. Okay, by President. Now President has the discretion. Okay, he can either appoint a person of BJP or Congress or JDS. He has the discretion. Okay, so according to his wish, he can appoint. Now he'll appoint a person of Indian National Congress as Prime Minister, and he will give that Prime Minister 1 month of time. 1 month of time. Within that 1 month of time, he has to prove his majority. So what is meant by proving of majority? He has to show that he has the support of more than 273 members. So within 1 month in the Lok Sabha, he should show that he has the support of more than 273 members of Lok Sabha. Once he shows this, then he can continue as Prime Minister. Suppose in 1 month, if he fails to show this strength of 273, then he has to resign for the post of Prime Minister. So that's why vote of confidence within 1 month. Okay. So within 1 month, he has to prove his majority. So this is one scenario wherein there is no clear majority. Another scenario wherein President can appoint Prime Minister based on discretion. The other thing is when Prime Minister dies without a successor. See here. So when Prime Minister dies, for example, when Indira Gandhi died, so there were no successor. At that time, President had the discretionary. President exercised his discretion and he appointed Rajiv Gandhi as Prime Minister. Okay, so when there is no successor, at that time, President can appoint a person of his choice as Prime Minister and he will give him 1 month of time. Okay, 1 month of time. So whether such kind of powers have been exercised by President in the history? Yes, such kind of powers have been exercised. So whether when no clear party is in majority, President appointing a Prime Minister of his choice, whether such kind of exercise have been exercised in the history? Yes, examples of this discretion exist. Okay, one example is Neelam Sanjeeva Reddy, who was President of India, so he had appointed a Prime Minister. So whether UPSC focuses on such kind of things, which President had appointed which Prime Minister based on his discretionary powers? No, such kind of question it will not focus. So what kind of question it may focus? It will focus on questions like whether in the history of India, President has exercised his discretionary power with respect to appointment of Prime Minister. Okay, such kind of questions it may frame, and if we are able to recall one such example, then we will be able to tackle such kind of questions confidently. So next, Constitution, no majority proving before PM's appointment, very important. Okay, so most of us we think that so in Lok Sabha, a person, let us assume BJP, Congress. Okay, so 300, 245 example. So a person among these 300 people, one will become Prime Minister. So before being appointed as Prime Minister, whether a person has to show the strength that he has the support of minimum 273 members? Not required. Okay, not required. So that itself is indicated here. No majority proving. Our constitution says that before entering the office of Prime Minister, you need not show the strength, or you need not prove the majority. So once you become Prime Minister, then you will be having a period of 1 month. During that 1 month period, you can show your majority. So again, such kind of questions will be posed. Whether Constitution expects a Prime Ministerial candidate to show the majority before being appointed as Prime Minister? No. Okay, no. So whether such PMs have been appointed? Yes. Many PMs have been appointed and they have been given a time of 1 month to prove their majority. Okay, majority. Next, very important. Supreme Court, if not a member, PM for 6 months. So we shall just try to look into this with the help of an example. Now, until now we have discussed that in Lok Sabha, BJP, Congress. Okay, so 300, next 245. Next, Rajya Sabha, BJP 100, Congress 145. Next, we have seen about Council of Ministers headed by Prime Minister. So we have already seen the previous classes that Council of Ministers will be there and it will be headed by Prime Minister. One Prime Minister and approximately around 50 other ministers. So totally 51 members. Okay, 51 members. So until now in our discussion, what we had taken, we had said that among these 300 people, so one will become Prime Minister and others will become normal ministers. Okay, others will become normal ministers. And in Lok Sabha, only members of majority party will become ministers. So when BJP government we have, Congress people will not become ministers. Okay, will not become ministers. Only members of BJP will become ministers. Now my question is whether BJP members of Rajya Sabha, okay, or members of Rajya Sabha who belong to BJP party, can they become ministers? Can they become ministers? Yes. Okay, they can also become ministers. So they can also become ministers. Now, how many from Lok Sabha should become minister and how many from Rajya Sabha should become minister? Whether there is fixed number? No. There is no such rule. So it all depends on Prime Minister. So if the Prime Minister wishes, then he can appoint all the ministers only from Lok Sabha, or he can appoint all the ministers from Rajya Sabha, or he will take few from Lok Sabha and few from Rajya Sabha. So Prime Minister has complete power over this. But here there is no constitutional prohibition. A member of both Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha can become minister. Okay, can become minister. And generally in the cabinet there are many people from Lok Sabha and few people from Rajya Sabha. So representation from both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha is there in Council of Ministers. Okay, Council of Ministers. So our next question is, a normal a Rajya Sabha member can become a normal minister, but whether a Rajya Sabha member can become Prime Minister? Yes, definitely a Rajya Sabha member can become Prime Minister as well. So in India, the example is Manmohan Singh. So Manmohan Singh was Prime Minister of India for almost 10 years. So he was member of Rajya Sabha. He was member of Rajya Sabha. So here we come to know that the member of Rajya Sabha can also become Prime Minister. Can also become Prime Minister as well as other minister. Next, one more important thing. Now, a person who is neither a member of Lok Sabha nor a member of Rajya Sabha. Okay. So let us say person X. He is neither a member of Lok Sabha nor a member of Rajya Sabha. Can he become minister? Yes. In Constitution there is a provision that a person X can become minister. Can become minister, including Prime Minister. He can even become Prime Minister as well. He can become minister, normal minister, or Prime Minister. Okay, or Prime Minister. But there is a condition. He can remain in the office of minister or Prime Minister only for 6 months. Only for how many months? 6 months. Oh, only for 6 months. So a person who is neither a member of Lok Sabha nor a member of Rajya Sabha can become minister as well as Prime Minister. But for how many days he can stay in that position? For 6 months. Okay, for 6 months. So can he continue beyond 6 months? Yes, he can continue beyond 6 months. Means he can continue even after 6 months. But when it is possible, only in these 6 months of period, if he either gets elected to Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. Okay. He should either contest for Lok Sabha election and get elected, or he should contest for Rajya Sabha election and should get elected, or should get nominated to Rajya Sabha. Okay. Within this 6 months, if this happens, then beyond 6 months also he can continue as a minister or Prime Minister. So our Constitution says that even if a person is not a member of Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, he can become a minister, including the Prime Minister, provided that in that 6 months he should be elected either as a member of Lok Sabha or elected or appointed, nominated as a member of Rajya Sabha. Okay, as a member of Rajya Sabha. Okay, so here it became clear that both Lok Sabha members as well as Rajya Sabha members can become Prime Minister. Okay, Prime Minister. And a person who is not a member of either Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha can become Prime Minister for 6 months. Okay, can become Prime Minister for 6 months. Next, oath, very important. So when prime minister wants to assume the office of prime minister, so before entering the office, he has to take oath. Okay, he has to take oath. So he has to take two oaths. One is oath of office, one more is oath of secrecy. So what is present in oath of office and what is present in oath of secrecy, that information is not important from exam point of view. Here we need to just remember that there are two oaths which are taken by ministers or prime minister. One is office of oath, that I will be discharging my duties properly. Another one is office of secrecy. So whatever the discussions that will be happening here, so some information is very sensitive, so he'll take an oath that that information will not be revealed outside. Okay, that information will not be revealed outside. So two oaths are taken. So very important is who will administer the oath. Okay, who will administer the oath? So oath to prime minister is administered by President of India. So whenever I write P, so P indicates president. So president will administer the oath of office as well as secrecy to prime minister. Okay, to prime minister. Next, term. Once a person becomes prime minister, then for how many days he will stay in that office? 1 year, 2 years. So what is the term? That term is not fixed. So in our constitution, they are not fixed the term as 1 year or 2 years. Then how long he will stay in the office? As long as he enjoys the pleasure of president. As long as he enjoys the pleasure of president. So what does it mean? It means prime minister will remain in his office, will hold that position until president is happy. Until president is happy. So here we need to understand the meaning of this term, pleasure of president, or what is the happiness of president. So how long president will be happy? So president will be happy until prime minister enjoys majority. Prime minister enjoys majority. Until prime minister enjoys majority, president will be happy. So what is that enjoy majority? It means in Lok Sabha, more than 273 or more than 273 members should support prime minister. Okay, in Lok Sabha. So here Raj Sabha does not make a difference. In Lok Sabha, more than or equal to 273 members, they should support prime minister. They should support prime minister. If they support prime minister, it means prime minister enjoys the confidence of the Lok Sabha. Okay, confidence of the Lok Sabha. As long as the prime minister enjoys the confidence of the Lok Sabha, so he enjoys the pleasure of the president. It means president is happy. So once this number becomes less, it means less than 273 members they support prime minister. It means president will not be happy with the prime minister. At that time, what president can do? He can remove the prime minister. When prime minister does not enjoy the majority in the Lok Sabha, then president can remove prime minister. Then president can remove prime minister. One more important, no dismissal when majority enjoyment. So when prime minister is enjoying the support of more than 273 members, in that case, president cannot remove prime minister. Okay. So president does not have the power to remove a prime minister who has the support of more than 273 members in Lok Sabha. President can remove a prime minister only if he has the support of less than 273 members in Lok Sabha. Very important. Okay, very important. Next, salary. What is the salary of prime minister? So salary of prime minister is determined by parliament. So Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, they will sit together, they will discuss and they will fix the salary of prime minister. So UPSC, it will not focus on these kind of questions. So it can be ignored as well. Okay, it can be ignored as well. Next, powers and functions. Okay, so here we will be discussing about the powers of prime minister in various contexts. So first, in relation to council of ministers. So we have already seen this council of ministers. Approximately in India we have 50 ministers. Okay, 50 ministers. Next, ministers appointment recommendation to president. So what kind of role prime minister plays? So here we have president. And here okay, person 1, person 2, person 3, person 4. So all these they are members of either Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. So here Prime Minister will appoint person 1 as minister. President will appoint person 1 as minister. President will appoint President 3 as minister. So he will appoint only person 1 and person 3. He will not appoint person 2 and person 4, because Prime Minister has given a recommendation to President that only person 1 and person 3 they should be appointed as ministers. So a minister will be appointed by the president, but based on the recommendation of Prime Minister. Without the recommendation of Prime Minister, President cannot appoint a minister. Very important. Okay, very important. Next, portfolio allocation. Now we know. So let us assume there are 4 people: A, B, C, D. A, B, C, D. So all these 4 people, they have been appointed as ministers. Let us assume they have been appointed as ministers by President. So President has appointed all these 4 people as ministers. Okay, as ministers. But next we have seen that there are different ministries. For example, we have Agriculture Ministry, we have Defense Ministry, we have Home Ministry, and we have Education Ministry. Okay, Education Ministry. Now which person has to be given which ministry? Whether A has to be given Agriculture Ministry or Defense Ministry. So let us assume A is given Home Ministry. Okay, person A has been given the charge of Home Ministry. Person B has been given the charge of Agriculture Ministry. Person C has been given the charge of Defense Ministry, and D has been given the charge of Education Ministry. Okay, so this process we call it as portfolio allocation. So which particular person will become which minister? So that process we call it as portfolio allocation. Next, what is the reshuffling? So this portfolio allocation, this power lies with the Prime Minister. Okay, Prime Minister. Next, reshuffling. For example, this B is managing Agriculture Ministry. Now this power will be removed, and B will be given the responsibility of Education Ministry, and D will be given with some other power. Let us assume Home Ministry. So in this fashion, that interchanging, that is called as reshuffling. So that reshuffling of portfolios, that power is also exercised by Prime Minister. Okay, Prime Minister. Next, Prime Minister can ask a minister to resign. Prime Minister can ask a minister to resign. So now let us assume here we have Prime Minister. So let us assume Prime Minister is not happy with the performance of Minister A. He is not happy with the performance of Minister A. So he will ask A to resign. If A does not resign, when the Prime Minister asks A to resign, and if A is not ready to resign, then what happens? Prime Minister will ask President. To dismiss A. Okay, so President has the power to dismiss A when he receives the recommendation of Prime Minister. Okay, so a minister has to resign when Prime Minister asks, or he can be dismissed by President. So here it is wrong. It is not PM, it is President. So Prime Minister will advise President to dismiss the minister. Next, the other power. Prime Minister presides the meeting of Council of Ministers. Council of Ministers. So we know there are 50 ministers plus 1 Prime Minister. Okay. So when they are meeting, so who will be the head of that meeting? Who will be presiding? Prime Minister will be presiding the meetings of Council of Ministers. Okay. Important. Next, Prime Minister guides, directs, and controls ministers. It means these 50 ministers who are working on different subjects. One is working on agriculture, one is working on defense, one is working on home. They are working on different matters. But in all the matters, they have to work according to the guidance given by PM, according to the directions given by PM. It means whatever the PM says, accordingly the minister should work. Okay, the minister should work. The ministers should not deviate from the direction which has been given by the Prime Minister. So very important. Among all the ministers, the most powerful position is Prime Minister. So whatever the Prime Minister gives the direction to the ministers have to follow and work accordingly. Okay. So that's why we say Prime Minister has the power to guide, direct, and control the ministers. That is Council of Ministers. Next, very important. Resignation or death, it leads to collapse of government. Okay, collapse of government. So let us look into it with the help of an example. Okay, with the help of an example. Now we have prime minister here. Okay, prime minister. Here we have various ministers. Let us assume home minister. Okay, home minister, defense minister, and agriculture minister. So totally we have 50 ministers, but here for our example I have taken only 3 ministers: home minister, defense minister, agriculture minister. So let us assume person A is home minister, person B is defense minister, person C is agriculture minister. Now let us assume if person A resigns, okay, so he'll submit his resignation. So once he submits resignation, this person A, in his place some new person will come, D. Okay, D. So A will go, D will become new home minister. So here just replacement will take place. So A will go out, next D will come in, he'll become new home minister. So it will not disturb the other ministers. So defense minister will remain as it is, agriculture minister will remain, and also prime minister remains. Now one more example. Suppose defense minister person B, so he dies. Okay, he dies. So what happens? Will it make any difference to agricultural minister? No. Will it makes any difference to home minister? No. So D and C, they continue to remain as what? Home minister and agriculture minister respectively. But if B dies, so one more person, let us assume person named F will take charge of defense ministry. Okay, defense ministry. So when a ordinary minister dies, it will not make difference to others. But if prime minister resigns, then what happens? Whether prime minister, let us assume X is prime minister, whether X will be replaced by a person called as Y? No. So when prime minister resigns, it is equivalent to resignation of person A, person B, person C. Okay, whether they submit resignation or not, but when prime minister resigns, it is like a resignation of entire council of ministers. Okay, entire council of ministers. So here, when an ordinary minister resigns, it will not make a difference to the council of ministers. But when prime minister resigns, it makes a huge difference to the council of ministers. It is equivalent to the resignation of the entire council of ministers. Okay. So next, similarly, if PM dies. So as we took an example with a normal minister. So when a normal minister dies, he will be replaced by another minister. It will not make any difference to the council of ministers. But when prime minister dies, when a sitting prime minister dies, then it is equivalent to the resignation of the entire council of ministers. Okay, it is equivalent to the resignation of entire council of ministers. So what do we understand here by resignation? By resignation we mean whenever a new prime minister comes. So when the present prime minister dies and a new prime minister, person Y, comes. So generally when a new prime minister comes, he will take oath. Okay, he will take oath. But apart from person Y, all the other ministers should also take oath. Okay, should also take oath. So that is why when prime minister resigns or dies, it is equivalent to the resignation of the entire council of ministers. And when the new council of ministers is formed, and when a new prime minister comes, all of them, they have to take oath again. Okay, they have to take oath again. Very important. Okay, very important. Next, so in relation to president, so in the previous we saw relation of prime minister with respect to council of ministers. Next we shall see the relation of prime minister with respect to president. So we have president here, we have prime minister here, and council of ministers. So principal communication channel between president and council of ministers. So here council of ministers, they will directly not interact with president. So the chances are very rare. Okay, very rare. Similarly, prime minister, the president will not directly interact with council of ministers. The chances are, the possibilities are very rare. So whenever council of ministers, they want to communicate with president, so they will communicate to prime minister and the same will be conveyed to president. Similarly, when president wants to convey some information, he will convey it to prime minister and that will be conveyed to council of ministers. So that's why prime minister acts as a principal communication channel between president and council of ministers. Next, very important, all decision regarding the administration of union or legislation has to be submitted to president. It means whenever we want to bring a new kind of bill, so already we have seen whenever we want to bring a new kind of law, so that law initially it will be bill, that bill has to be passed first in Lok Sabha or in Raj Sabha, and next either in Lok Sabha or Raj Sabha, finally it has to receive the president's signature. But before going to Lok Sabha and Raj Sabha, a bill will be initiated in Council of Ministers. First the government will decide whether we need to bring a bill. Okay, so if at all government wants to bring a new bill, so first it will inform the same to president that we want to bring a new bill. Okay, we want to bring a new bill, so that information will be communicated to president. Similarly, furnish such info. If president asks to prime minister, what he will ask? Whatever work you are doing with respect to any kind of legislation and all, I want the information regarding the same. At that time, prime minister will give the information whatever the president has sought. Okay, whatever the president has sought. Next, submit for consideration of minister decision in COM, Council of Ministers. So what does it mean? So it means that now, okay, again we shall take the same example itself. So every major decision it has to be taken by Council of Ministers headed by Prime Minister. Now let us assume in Council of Ministers we have different ministers. Let us take an example of Agriculture Ministry, or not agriculture. I'll take example of Education Ministry. Okay, Education Minister. Now this Education Minister has a plan to build new medical college. Okay, medical college. So he alone cannot take the decision and start a medical college. First what he will do, he'll keep this proposal in the meetings of Council of Ministers. So in that meeting, this proposal has to be accepted. But generally, as lot of work is involved, sometimes he may not get a chance to propose his idea of medical college in the Council of Ministers. So he may not get a time. Let us assume Education Minister A. So person A is the Education Minister. He will not get sufficient time. So what he will do, he will request President. That I am not getting sufficient time or to introduce my idea in the Council of Ministers meeting. So please request Prime Minister. So what President will do, he will request Prime Minister that a minister wants to come up with a new idea, so allot some time to him. So based on the request, Prime Minister during the Council of Ministers meeting, he will give some time to person A, and person A can introduce his idea or he can propose the idea of new medical college. Okay, just it is not exactly how it works, but just at the superficial level, let us try to understand these things from this angle. Next, what are the other powers? So P is President. Prime Minister will advise President. With respect to what? With respect to appointment of Attorney General of India. So we have already seen Attorney General of India is what? Lawyer of central government. Similarly, in the forthcoming classes, we will be discussing about other constitutional positions like Comptroller and Auditor General of India, Union Public Service Commission. Okay, and in Union Public Service Commission, there will be one chairman and there will be many members. Similarly, election commissioners, Finance Commission. So all these different bodies we will be discussing in detail in the forthcoming classes. But now what we need to understand here is, so who can appoint Attorney General of India or Comptroller and Auditor General of India? President will appoint. But whether President can appoint any person of his choice? No. President has to appoint the person who has been recommended by Prime Minister. So based upon the Prime Minister's advice, President will appoint Attorney General of India, Comptroller and Auditor General of India, and so on. Okay, and so on. Next, in relation to Parliament. Okay, in relation to Parliament. So very important, Prime Minister is the leader of lower house. So we need to understand. So one is lower house, another one is upper house. Okay, upper house. So we have two houses. One is Lok Sabha, another one is Rajya Sabha. So Lok Sabha is called as lower house. Lok Sabha is called as lower house, and Rajya Sabha is called as upper house. Okay, upper house. So Prime Minister is leader of which house? Prime Minister is leader of Lok Sabha, lower house. Okay, lower house. Next, summon and prorogue. So we have already discussed about summon and prorogue. So what is summon and prorogue? So there are three different sessions. One is monsoon session, budget session, winter session. So at the beginning of any session, what we will do? There will be summon. Okay, there will be summon. So what is it? Summon. An invitation will be sent to all the members of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha to come and gather in their respective houses. Okay, so that we can start with the session. So who will make this summon? President will make summon. Okay, President will make summon. Whether President can make summon on his own will? No. President can issue that summon based on the recommendation of Prime Minister. It means Prime Minister will recommend President to issue a summon. Okay, to issue a summon. Similarly, after the completion of the session we will be issuing what? Prorogue. So what does prorogue mean? It means work has been done. Now you can go back to your native places. Okay. So who will issue it? Okay. So who will issue this prorogue? Prorogue will also be issued by President, as we have seen. So whether President can issue prorogue on his own will? No. Again, it will be based on the recommendation of Prime Minister. Okay. So both summon and prorogue, which are issued by President, it will be on the advice of Prime Minister. Okay, advice of Prime Minister. Next, dissolution. So we already discussed that among Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha is a permanent house, but Lok Sabha is a house which can be dissolved. So normally it can be dissolved after 5 years. Okay, Lok Sabha, it will be normally dissolved after 5 years. So what is dissolution? Dissolution is when all the members of Lok Sabha will lose their membership. Okay, will lose their membership. So when will they naturally lose membership? After 5 years, after the completion of 5 years. So President will dissolve. So when all the members of Lok Sabha will lose their membership. This is one chance. This is one scenario. Another scenario is, even though we are not at crossed 5 years, only 3 years have elapsed. Okay, let us assume only 3 years have elapsed. So after 3 years, can we dissolve the house? Yes, we can dissolve. So which are those various scenarios? About the scenarios we will be discussing later on. But here we need to understand here, what we need to understand here is, even after 3 years or 2 years, we can dissolve. Who has the power to dissolve? President has the power to dissolve. President has the power to dissolve after 3 years. So it means whether Lok Sabha is at the mercy of the President? No, that is not the case. Here also, President can dissolve only when Prime Minister recommends to the President that you need to dissolve the Lok Sabha. Based on the Prime Minister's recommendation, President can dissolve the Lok Sabha. But this is just theoretical. Practically, it does not happen. Why? Because the person who is Prime Minister, he can still continue for 2 years as Prime Minister. So rather than enjoying the power and for 2 years and bringing some kind of changes, so he will not be ready to go for an election. Okay, he will not be ready to go for an election. So theoretically, when Prime Minister recommends President to dissolve the Lok Sabha, then President can dissolve. But practically, before the end of the tenure, dissolution generally do not take place. And if at all they do take place, some circumstances demand. So, and what are those circumstances? We'll be discussing about them in the future. Okay, in the future. So here we got to know that Lok Sabha can be dissolved, and by whom? By President. Whether on his own will? No, based on the recommendation of Prime Minister. Okay, Prime Minister. Next, Prime Minister announces the government policies on the floor. Okay, on the floor in the sense, in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. So whenever government wants to bring a new policy or new law, okay, so that proposal will be done by Prime Minister. Okay, will be done by Prime Minister. Okay, important. Next, apart from that, so he is the chairman of, Prime Minister is the chairman of Planning Commission. Okay, PC is Planning Commission, but now Planning Commission does not exist. It has been replaced by Niti Aayog. Okay, Niti Aayog. Similarly, he is the chairman of National Development Council. Next, he is the chairman of Interstate Council. Next, National Water Resources Council. So we will be discussing about these various bodies in the forthcoming classes. Here, what we need to understand here is, by default, he is the chairman of he was the chairman of Planning Commission, and he is the chairman of Interstate Council and all. Okay, detailed discussion we will be discussing later on. Next, he plays a very important role in foreign policy shaping. Foreign policy shaping. So what do we understand by foreign policy? So when we say foreign policy, we need to make a decision that what kind of relationship has to be maintained with a particular nation. So whether we need to maintain a good relationship with the USA, or what kind of relationship would we should maintain with Russia. Okay. So when we say relationship, it comes in different forms. It may be political relationship, or it may be economic relationship, and many others. So when we want to establish this relationship, so there are many people involved. So foreign minister is there. Okay, foreign minister is there, or external affairs minister. External affairs minister. But even if external affairs minister also is external affairs minister also has to work according to the direction set by the prime minister. So the major person who plays an important role in shaping the foreign policy is prime minister. Okay, very important. Okay, very important. Next, he is the chief spokesperson of union government. So to central government, we also refer it as union government. So who is the chief spokesperson? Prime minister is the chief spokesperson of union government. Okay, important. Next, crisis manager in chief at political level during emergencies. So during emergencies, some kind of emergencies, so many political parties will not be finding a common ground. So there will be differences of opinion. So in order to overcome those differences at the political level, so there should be one person who should be able to handle all the challenges, and that person will be prime minister. Okay. So he will be the crisis manager in chief at the political level. Okay, political level. Next, prime minister receives memoranda. So what is memoranda? So generally we submit some kind of request to the government that we do not have a proper bus facility in our place. We do not have transportation facilities. We do not have healthcare facilities and all. And we submit a request saying that we require such kind of facilities. So all these such kind of things we call it as memoranda. So prime minister will also receive such kind of memoranda from the people. Next, he is the leader of party in power. Okay. So here, which party is in power presently? BJP is in power. So he is the leader of BJP party. Okay, he is the leader of BJP party. Next, he is political head of services. So which are services? Services are Army, Navy and Air Force. So we have seen that President is the head of Army, Navy and Air Force. But at the political level, okay, the real head is Prime Minister. The real head of Army, Navy and Air Force is Prime Minister. Okay, Prime Minister. Important. Next, role description. So we all, majority of us, we refer Lakshmikant. So a very important book. So when we are referring at the end of the topic, we come across the role descriptions. So Morley has said something about the role of Prime Minister. Herbert Marrison has said something about Prime Minister. Harcourt has said something about Prime Minister. Jennings, etc. So they have made statements about the role of Prime Minister. So as the syllabus is very huge, we need to understand the demand of the examination. Okay. So do we need to remember the statements that have been made by Morley and all? Forget about prelims. Okay, from prelims point of view, they are not important. So do we need to memorize them from mains point of view? I think not required, because there are many points which can be gathered in order to create an answer for mains. So here, these statements of Prime Minister will not add any significant value to the answers that we write. So we need not go through these things. So it can be just plainly ignored. Okay, plainly ignored. So remember these things, because we need to prioritize into what is important and what is not important. So as initially the syllabus is very less, gradually as we move to other topics, then the syllabus appears very huge. So in such a scenario, we need to wisely decide what is important and what is not important. And here, it's not important. I think it is not important. Okay, it can be completely ignored. Next. So whatever we have discussed, again, I just recap. Okay. So relationship with president, what we got to know? According to article number 40 to 74, Council of Ministers headed by Prime Minister, okay, headed by Prime Minister, will aid and advise President. It means Council of Ministers plus Prime Minister, okay, Prime Minister. So whatever advice they give to President, President has to work accordingly, okay, President has to work accordingly. Let us assume a particular decision has been taken and they are sent to President for signature, okay, but President, what he can do, he can send it once. First time, Council of Ministers headed by Prime Minister will send a document for President's signature. So President can return it back once. Okay. After returning it back, Council of Ministers plus Prime Minister, they may resend it. They may resend it either with changes or without changes. So second time when they resend it back to President for his signature, then it is binding on President. then it is binding on president. It means president cannot say no and he has to sign it when it is being sent for the second time. Okay, second time, very important. So here council of ministers headed by prime minister, they will aid and advise president. So whatever the advice they give to president, president has to act accordingly. Okay, has to act accordingly. Next, we have also seen that prime minister is appointed by president and other ministers are appointed by president based on the recommendations of prime minister. Okay, based on the recommendations of prime minister. Next, one more important thing. Council of ministers are collectively responsible to Lok Sabha. It means these council of ministers headed by prime minister, they are responsible to Lok Sabha. Okay, it means whatever activities they are doing, whatever work they are doing, they have to satisfy Lok Sabha. They have to satisfy in the sense, they have to satisfy minimum 273 members of Lok Sabha. If less than 273 members of Lok Sabha are satisfied with the council of ministers, it means the council of ministers have lost the confidence and such a government, such a executive has to resign. Okay, has to resign. So here what does it mean? Council of ministers, they are collectively responsible to Lok Sabha. So whatever actions they are doing, they should be responsible to Lok Sabha. So Lok Sabha can ask questions to them. So if council of ministers is not performing as per the expectations of the Lok Sabha, then Lok Sabha can remove, remove what? Government. So when I say government, what is that? Council of ministers headed by prime minister. So what are the various tools that the Lok Sabha can use to remove? So one important tool is no confidence motion. So Lok Sabha can pass a no confidence motion and remove the council of ministers headed by prime minister. So this also we have discussed in the previous class. Okay, previous class. Okay, so these things we have discussed. Okay, communication with president, submit for consideration, etc. So here in this class we discussed about prime minister. Similarly, in the forthcoming classes we will be discussing about the other important topics related to polity. Thank you.